Declassified, Bed of Lies, the explosive true story of the KGB couple who tore each other apart. Introduction. The enemy in the sheets. In the annals of espionage, the illegals program is the crown jewel of Soviet intelligence. These are not diplomats, protected by immunity. They are ghosts. They are your neighbors. They are the couple grilling burgers in the backyard, complaining about taxes, and raising American children. They are trained to trust no one except each other. The legend, cover story of a married couple is the strongest shield in spycraft.
Cat
It is a bond forged in secrecy, an us against the world pact that is supposed to be unbreakable. But what happens when the ideology that binds them cracks? This is the story of Operation Broken Vow. It is a story culled from the darkest corners of FBI Counterintelligence files. It details the catastrophic implosion of a husband and wife team where the Cold War wasn't fought on a map, but across the dinner table. When one decided to defect, the other didn't just file for divorce. She filed for an execution. File number 01. The Perfect Fiction. Subject, Richard and Cynthia, aliases. Status, Deep Cover, illegals. To their neighbors in a quiet suburb of Washington, D.C. Richard and Cynthia were boring. He was a freelance technical consultant. She was a travel agent. They drove a Ford. They hosted potlucks. In reality, they were Colonel Alexei and Major Elena of Directorate S, the KGB's illegals directorate. They were not just married for the job. They were a real couple, paired by the center in Moscow years prior, trained together in a mock American town in Russia to perfect their accents and mannerisms. They had history, they had intimacy, but there was a fundamental difference in their programming that the KGB psychologists missed. The husband, Alexei, Richard, was an intellectual. He followed orders, but he observed. He began to enjoy the American life, the freedom of speech, the abundance of grocery stores, the lack of fear. The wife, Elena, Cynthia, was a zealot, a Chekist to the bone. To her, America was a rock that needed to be documented and destroyed. She viewed their suburban life not as a comfort, but as a disgusting necessity. The FBI file notes, the deadliest disguise is normalcy. They were hiding in plain sight, protected by the assumption that a married couple shares the same soul. File number 02, the seduction of freedom. The crack in the armor began with a prohibited act. Listening. Richard began listening to the people he was supposed to be subverting. He realized the evil empire narrative he had been fed in Moscow was a lie. He started hoarding small amounts of cash. He began making subtle errors in his reports to Moscow, omitting details, softening the blows. The trigger event. According to debriefing transcripts, the turning point was mundane. Richard watched the Watergate hearings on TV. He saw a president of the United States being held accountable by the press and the people. In the USSR, Nixon would have been protected and the journalists executed. In America,
FBI, get down on the floor now. Clear.
He made a
Hands up.
decision. He wanted out. But he had a problem. Cynthia. He tested the waters one evening over wine. Do you ever think about what would happen if we just stayed? If the center forgot us? Cynthia's reaction was immediate and terrifyingly cold. That is treason, Richard. And treason is rot. We cut out the rot. In that moment, Richard realized he wasn't sleeping with his wife. He was sleeping with a KGB major. File number 03, domestic warfare. What followed was a game of cat and mouse, played within the four walls of a suburban three-bedroom house. This is the most chilling part of the gossip. Richard couldn't just run to the FBI. He knew Cynthia was the superior combatant. She was the communications officer. She held the codes to the high-burst radio transmitter hidden in the attic. If he bolted, she would signal Moscow immediately. He would be hunted down. The FBI walk-in Richard orchestrated a business trip. Instead, he met with the FBI in a motel room. He laid it all out. The codes, the dead drops, the network, and the ultimate condition. You must get me out before she kills me. Because she knows. The FBI wanted him to go back. They needed him to wear a wire. They needed him to gather evidence against his own wife. Dinner table espionage. For 3 weeks, Richard lived in a house where a woman he knew was assessing his loyalty. The surveillance. Cynthia began tracking his
Americans
mileage.
believe their
She
secrets
checked
are
the phone bill
secure.
for
It
discrepancies.
is your job to
The
remind
psychological
them
tests.
that security is
She
merely
would
an
leave
illusion.
bait, fake operational documents on the desk to see if he would photograph them. The weapon. The FBI surveillance team noted that Cynthia started keeping a specialized pistol, a suppressed .22 caliber assassination weapon, taped beneath the vanity in the master bathroom. They were still sharing a bed. They were still saying, "Good morning." But under the surface, 2 intelligence agencies were at war inside a marriage. File number 04, the betrayal. The breaking point came when Cynthia received a coded burst from Moscow. The center had sensed Richard's hesitation, perhaps through another mole. The order was ambiguous but ominous. Secure the archives. Prepare for Stage 2. In KGB speak, Stage 2 often meant liquidation of a compromised asset and emergency exfiltration of the loyalist. Cynthia made her move. She didn't scream or shout. She simply prepared a dinner, Richard's favorite. She laced the wine with a sedative. Not enough to kill, but enough to incapacitate him so she could transport him to a clean site for interrogation or disposal by a wet work team arriving by boat. The FBI intervention Richard, coached by FBI handlers, sensed the trap. He feigned a sip, then accidentally knocked the glass over. The tension in the room snapped. According to the report, Cynthia didn't panic. She stood up, walked to the kitchen drawer where she kept a hidden knife, and turned to her husband of 15 years. "You are weak, Alexei. I always knew you were weak." Before she could advance, the FBI SWAT team listening via hidden microphones breached the front door. File number 05, the interrogation rooms. The aftermath of the arrest highlights the stark contrast between the two. Room A. The husband, Richard. He collapsed. The stress of the double life evaporated, leaving a broken man. He wept not for himself, but for the loss of the woman he thought he knew. He gave up everything, every code, every safe house, every name. Room B. The wife, Cynthia. Cynthia sat in the interrogation room with perfect posture. She refused to speak English. She only spoke Russian. She did not ask for a lawyer. She demanded a representative from the Soviet embassy. When the FBI agents played the tape of Richard confessing, hoping to break her, she didn't show anger. She showed contempt. "He is not a man," she told the agents. "He is a husk. You can keep him. He deserves your soft country." She never admitted guilt. She never negotiated. She remained a soldier until the end. Conclusion. The human cost of ideology. The fate of the couple diverges into the history books. Richard was given a new identity, a new face, and a quiet life in the Midwest. He remarried, an American woman this time, but reportedly slept with the lights on for the rest of his life. Cynthia was eventually exchanged in a high-profile spy swap. She returned to Moscow. Rumor has it, she was awarded the Order of the Red Star for her loyalty and became an instructor at the KGB Academy, teaching young cadets how to spot betrayal in their partners. The final lesson. The story of the husband and wife is a terrifying reminder of the power of indoctrination. Love is usually considered the strongest human emotion, but in the world of the KGB illegals, loyalty to the state was the only vow that mattered. For Richard, the marriage was a partnership. For Cynthia, the marriage was just another cover, and when the cover was blown, she was ready to discard the husband to save the mission. It forces us to ask, how well do you really know the person sleeping next to you?